Hi, today I'm going to teach you about how to show data in different ways using colored cereal. So I can use graphs to show any kind of data, whether it be cereal or types of toys, etc. One way that we can represent data is with what we call a concrete graph. A concrete graph is a type of graph where we use the actual objects on the graph. So when we create graphs, we always want a title for our graph, and we want headings along the bottoms and along the sides. So the title of my graph is going to be Colored Cereal. And along the bottom, I have the different possible colors of cereal that I might have. And then along the side, the numbers of pieces of cereal. So I go ahead and I take my cereal and I'm just going to place each color in the right spot. So I put my orange. I'll put all the oranges that I have. And it looks like I have 5 orange pieces of cereal. I have 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of yellow cereal. 1, 2, 3 pieces of blue. 3 pieces of green. 2 pieces of red cereal. And 1 piece of purple cereal. And that's a concrete graph of the different colors of cereal that I have. Now, it's not always feasible to use a concrete graph. For example, if you were trying to survey all the students in your class and figure out what kind of pets that they have, we couldn't really put the actual pets on our graph. So in that case, we might use what's called a pictograph. And that is basically the same as a concrete graph, except instead of putting the actual objects on the graph, we put pictures of the objects. So for example, I had 2 red pieces of cereal, so I could represent the 2 red pieces of cereal just like that, with a little loop of the cereal. So I went ahead and filled in the rest of my pictograph with the cereal pieces that I had. And now you can see what my final pictograph looks like. Another type of graph that I can create with data is called a bar graph. Instead of using objects or pictures to represent the data, I use a bar. So if I have 2 red pieces of cereal, I would create a bar that's 2 high, and I would color it in. And so that bar represents the 2 pieces of red cereal that I have. So I went ahead and filled in the rest of my bar graph for each color of cereal that I have. And there's what the final bar graph looks like. And the last type of graph that I want to show you is what's called a tally chart. With the tally chart, you put lines to represent each piece of data. For example, I have 2 pieces of red cereal, so I'm going to put 2 lines. And I have 5 pieces of orange cereal. And watch what happens with the 5. We take the last line, the 5th line, and almost like we're wrapping a rubber band around some sticks, we go ahead and put a line, and that represents the 5th line. So we have 5 orange pieces, and then we have 7 yellow pieces, 3 green pieces, 3 blue pieces, and 1 purple piece. And then we can go ahead and record each of the totals. Of our colored cereal. Now, why is this useful? Well, we can then use our graphs to interpret the data. And we can say things like, we have the most pieces that are orange. No, not orange, yellow. We have 7 yellow pieces. And we have the fewest red pieces because we only have 2 of those. And 2 of our pieces have the same amount, the green and the blue. And that's a comparison. Some of those are comparisons. And so we could do the same thing. And a bar graph is really helpful when looking at comparisons because the green, we can see that the green and the blue is exactly the same size. And then we can say things like, we have blank pieces of cereal in all. And we can just take the totals of each color and add those together to figure out how many cereal pieces we have in all. So those are our different types of graph. We have the concrete graph, which is with the objects themselves. We have the pictograph. Okay, so let me remind you, we have the concrete graph, and that's where we had our actual objects on there, whether it be cereal or toys or something else. We have a pictograph, very similar, but instead of the objects, we put the pictures. We have a bar graph, where we use bars to represent our data. And then we have tally charts. I hope that was helpful. Enjoy graphing any kind of data.